Hey guys, Mauricio here, KenMcElroy.com, legal advisor. And a couple of videos ago, we did a video on the 6 layers of asset protection. And one of those layers, layer number 4, had to do with entity structuring, and started to get a lot of questions from the community about where exactly do we set up these LLCs? That was a question that came up over and over again. And so in this video, I want to do a quick summary of the 3 main types of entities that real estate investors have and where those typically would get set up. So the first entity we typically have is what we call a property LLC, which is the LLC that actually owns your rental property. Now, property LLCs generally are created in the state where the property is located. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you set up your LLC in Wyoming or Nevada or any of these great asset protection states. If the property is located in Arkansas, for example, you're going to have to register that company to do business in Arkansas because that's where the property is located. And moreover, if anything were to happen to the property, slip and fall, if a tenant slips and falls or there's some dispute, then the laws of that particular state where the property is located is going to govern. So typically we create the property LLC in the state where the property is located, really don't get much benefit from setting it up outside of the state and registering it back into that. So number 1 is property LLCs always get set up in the state where the property is located. The second type of entities are operating companies, like traditional businesses. Now, those might be management companies, or it might be your real estate company, or any company that's actually doing active business. That is going to be set up generally in the state where you reside. Where is that company doing business? It's typically in the state that you live in. So if I'm a resident of California and I have a business, it doesn't matter that I set up the company in a different state. If I'm physically located and doing business in California, that's where the entity is doing business. And again, there's really no benefit from you setting up an LLC outside of your state if you have to then register it back into the state that you reside in. You're basically just paying for twice the fees of that LLC. So property LLCs get set up in the state the property is located. Operating businesses get set up in the state where you are actually located because you're the one that's conducting that business. And the final one is holding companies. And this is where you want to make sure you're setting up holding companies in the states that have the best asset protection laws, which are generally Nevada, Wyoming, Delaware, and now the great state of Texas, as I talked about in my prior video. So holding companies are companies that actually do no business whatsoever. They simply sit there and they hold other assets, usually other LLCs. So commonly you will see a holding company own the property LLC, or the holding company owning a safe asset like a bank account or precious metals or anything that I'm not really worried about the asset jumping out and suing you. And that holding company is where I really want to have that first line of defense, which is going to be in one of these great asset protection states. So even if I live in the state of California and I have a property in the state of California, my property LLC might be in California, my business might be in California, but my holding company should be in one of the best asset protection states I can find, which are generally going to be one of those 4: Texas, Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware. Hopefully that's been helpful for you guys, and looking forward to the next video next week.